Hi, I'm Alan Ross. I'm here at the IEEE PES T&D, that's a lot of acronyms, conference. This is the 2020 version that is actually being held in 2022. These interviews that we're conducting is with thought leaders on the future of the power industry. So enjoy. Our next guest is Bill Miller. He is with Hitachi Energy. He's a senior VP with them. Bill, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Alan.
Appreciate it very much. Okay, I've asked you to be prepared to answer this question. What does the future look like? What are the problems, the opportunities, the challenges, the changes that are taking place in the power industry that Hitachi sees? Because I know you've got to be part of that brain trust that looks at it. What do you see in the future?
Well, it's been a dynamic couple of years leading up to today.
Yeah, no kidding.
Supply chain interruptions,
yeah.
Commodity shortages, labor shortages. I think from a manufacturing sector standpoint, there's probably never been two challenging years like the last two in the history of transformers. We see a lot of positive growth. We expected around a 5 to 10% growth pattern in power distribution in North America. But the current demand is far outstripping that.
Right.
So it's really about operationalizing strategies to meet the higher demand levels that we're seeing today in the market. And finding a way to improve our footprint, both here in North America and globally, to be able to serve into the market.
Yeah, so that's an interesting, because everybody talked, we had a 10-year flat, there was no demand increase, right? And we've seen it tick up, but the projections are for three reasons: electrification of transportation, data centers are brought back onshore in North America, so this is more of a North American problem. And when they stop mining Bitcoins in China, guess what? They're bringing a lot of it back here. It uses a lot of power. And even though we're going through some changes for, consumers are trying to preserve, their ability to conserve is not anywhere near what we need it to be in order to do. So demand is projected to go in the next decade anywhere from 30% to 100%. Given that demand, the existing infrastructure is going to be taxed like never before. You've already talked about, and everybody that's talked about the supply chain problems has the same, it's not just supply chain, it's labor problems too, right?
Absolutely.
So how is Hitachi Energy addressing those specific things?
Very good question. So first of all, we look at our total global footprint and how do we address the heightened demand in North America. Staffing is a critical issue throughout the industry. Labor shortages in all manufacturing sectors are very difficult today. We've had to take proactive steps starting in 2021 to increase that ability to attract and retain employees. It's come at a cost, and we've gone through that investment at this point in time. We continue to invest in the manufacturing footprint and the addition of line space, CapEx coming into North America. And all of this is to meet this heightened demand. But to your point, the market's shifting too. And this is one area that really is of interest, I believe. If you look back 15, 20 years ago, the power utility company was the primary purchaser of a transformer.
Right.
But today, to your point, whether it's a data center or it's a renewable developer, the person purchasing the transformer has changed. Therefore, the mix of customers coming into manufacturing has shifted. Our utility companies still expect us to be able to ship on time. They hold allocated slots. It's a process we've had for many, many years with the utility companies, but now they're competing for the same manufacturing space as a data center who's buying direct, or a renewable developer that's buying direct. Right. So the customer base is spread out, making it a little more complex for manufacturers.
Right, and all these vying for space is going to make it a challenge for you to be able to provide everything that they need, particularly the labor part. And automation, you have to be thinking about automation of manufacturing, right? Transformers are unique in the way they are made. It is hard to truly automate. You can put some winding things, but what are some of the things that you all are looking at to automate?
Sure. Well, the scalability of transformers really starts with having the right labor force. Right? You need a highly educated, trained, productive labor force. We have that in our plants. Our biggest facilities in North America have had to make adjustments to increase capacity. Through the COVID period where we had higher absenteeism and higher attrition rates, it was a very aggressive plan to bring enough labor into the business to be able to grow along with the increased demand in the marketplace. That's really the current limiter for us. It's not material flow, it's not line capacity or testing capacity. It's really finding and retaining that key talent, that critical resource for us.
Well, it's good to hear that you're doing something about it, because some people are just poaching from other people, right? They're not really developing a retention program, which is the first part.
It's a very competitive labor market, and with unemployment in most of our manufacturing cities sitting at 2 or 3%, you have to find a new way to compete for that talent.
So we know that demand is going to increase. We know that there's another component of this idea that there's more action at the distribution side than there's ever been before. We've always known but generation has been the same. And I would consider DER as part of that, right? There's just more action at the distribution side than we've ever seen before.
Absolutely.
And for smaller, different type transformers. You've seen now, I think Siemens brought out the first, if I'm not mistaken, it was Siemens, they brought out the first solid state dry type pole mount transformer. That will revolutionize everything, because you think about how many pole mount transformers there are in the world that sit there with oil in them, right? You got decarbonization as an issue. We have Javi, who runs the FR3 division of Cargill. We've had her on as a guest, and we're talking about how fluids are changing, the demand for different fluids. How's that all affecting what you guys are doing?
We're seeing one of the biggest changes being the grid resiliency projects going on and grid hardening. So as many of our IOUs are moving from overhead lines to underground distribution lines, it changes the mix of product that they buy, right? They don't buy the pole type transformers anymore, they're going to pad mount, greatly increasing the demand on pad mount transformers. And our major facility in Jefferson City, Missouri, has seen exponential growth in order demand. A lot of that is from just these grid resiliency projects. Every storm that comes through, I've heard statistics where on average over the last 20 years, 7 storms that create $1 billion or more of damage, it would be the average over the past 2 decades. Last year we had 20 storms in North America that chalked up over $1 billion of damage per storm.
Wow.
So storm prevention.
Does that include fire events or no?
I understand that is atmospheric events only, not including fire events. And then we've had some other major disruptions to the grid, including a terrific ice storm down in Texas, wildfires in the West, and all of that is just amping up the demand for power transformers.
Yeah. Resiliency, I was talking to the folks at S&C, and they were talking about self-healing grids. Which are great because they typically are the lines and the relays and the ability to move power around. But I thought, what a great concept, self-healing and resiliency. Resiliency is getting it back up and running. Reliability is keeping it from failing, right? I'm a reliability guy, so I'm passionate about reliability. Transformers are probably, and I love transformers, I've been around transformers for 20 years, they're probably the most reliable long-term thing. I know that in a company that I did some work with, we had a birthday party every year for transformers over 100 years old.
Right.
All right, 100 years old. And we would do a cake, we made it a big public relations program, but they're just aging. Westinghouse, I think, made some of the best transformers back in the 70s. ABB, I know these are legacy companies for Hitachi Energy. You've got a great legacy with Hitachi, ABB from Westinghouse. But all of that together has got to be forward thinking. So when you think about the future, not just the immediate, meeting the immediate demands, but the future globally of what's happening in the transformer world, do you see any innovations that are going to bring about great changes? Hitachi Energy working on something that is the secret sauce that you know is going to, you don't have to tell me what it is or you'd have me killed. What's happening that is going to change, it's going to change the solution to be able to answer the problem?
Information.
Oh, okay, now I love that.
Yeah, having information about your network, right?
Right.
Understanding the condition of your transformer, the condition of the feeders coming in and going out. Ultimately, having that total system wellness understanding is very important.
Right.
Obviously, Hitachi and other companies are all investing heavily in digital tools and platforms. With Hitachi, we also have a software business called Ventara that does data analytics that will tie in nicely to the hardware side. So it's really a melding of the digital analytics and the hardware to operationalize that for a utility company.
Which is another one of the big things that we got to do is we've got to digitize, and we've also got to have connectivity, interconnectivity, interoperability, the ability for a utility to say, hey, all you different vendors are trying to offer me different things. You got to talk to each other. You got to make sure it's. So are you going to? Is that also going to be happening on the legacy side with installed base, or is that just relatively new?
Absolutely. As we roll out new digital platforms, they are typically retrofittable into existing base. And as you mentioned before, we have a legacy of Westinghouse, ABB, and Hitachi product in the market. Probably the greatest installed base in all of North America over all those years.
Yeah.
So lots of opportunity to extend the life of assets and look at that total life cycle through the addition of the digital capabilities, understanding proactive and preventative measures that can be taken with the asset. So,
isn't it so good that we're now talking proactive and preventive as opposed to reactive? Wait until it breaks to fix it, right? We really are, and I think that's amazing because if they've lasted 40 years and we think we're done, some of the best transformers ever made are 40 years old. And we should get as much life out of them as we can because that's going to help meet this demand curve thing.
Absolutely.
I want to switch gears. I want to talk about IEEE. A lot of your mates I know from ABB, I didn't know any from Westinghouse, but I've known a lot of them that are part of the standards committee. What is the value to Hitachi and that has been to the legacy companies of having your engineers involved with IEEE? What have you seen it to be?
The involvement in subcommittee work is imperative for any manufacturer, really. Being represented at a time when new technology is coming to market, being able to bring that to IEEE and discuss those new capabilities, new offerings, highly important. Likewise, we use IEEE as a feedback loop back to the manufacturer so we can redirect our resources to make sure we're developing the right products at the right times for the right applications. One of the challenges in the transformer market is that there are a lot of subject matter experts out there. Every utility company and every manufacturer has people that have designed transformers for decades, and we all like the way we do it, and we all do it a little differently. So driving harmonization can't happen without an organization like IEEE, where we can at least harmonize standards and have a go-forward plan. Distribution transformers, you mentioned before, being in a critical shortage right now.
Right.
One of the challenges there, the form factor of distribution transformers in North America is different than any other country. So it's not something that you can just start importing from Asia or from Europe. They're a homegrown form factor here in North America. And every utility company has a different variety or flavor. Our plant down in Jefferson City makes tens of thousands of unique SKUs to meet the market demand.
I've been to the plant. I've seen the plant,
But they're all customized. And it could be in the metal content or the insulating fluid or the accessories. It goes beyond configured to order and really gets into, in most cases, engineered to order. There's that much difference in the requirements of our customer base.
Okay, you gave me two new terms I'm going to start using: harmonize and engineered to order. I love that.
Yes,
that's really good.
Absolutely.
We believe in reliability is reliability by design. You build it into the program, into the product, and Hitachi is one of the companies that has a great reputation for reliability by design. As a reliability guy, I thank you for that.
And we're not done. We have a process called integrated transformer management. It is a business system that takes us from strategic planning all the way through the execution of an order and into the final life cycle of the product that drives continuous improvement. So we are very happy to report improvements in first pass yield, in life expectancy, and reduce warranty costs and operating costs. and we're not done. We continue to innovate as we go forward.
It's been great. Thank you, Bill. I appreciate it so much.
All right.